Mosab, I want to start with you. You know Hamas intimately. I'm curious to hear from you. What was your immediate reaction on October 7th? And were you surprised by the scale and brutality of the attack? Or did it align with what you've always known about Hamas?
It's important to know that I left Hamas many, many years ago, and I fought against them for about 10 years. I did everything within my ability to sabotage their operation. And I didn't do it out of hatred. It was out of responsibility, even though it was suicidal. Because got caught at that time, especially during the second intifada, it meant death. So, and I had my reasons. And we don't have the time to go through all my motives. But most importantly, what I believed, that I couldn't go wrong by saving a human life. It was not about Israel. It was not about Palestinians. The suicide bombers, when they targeted civilians indiscriminately. They did not say, okay, this is Jewish, we kill him, and this is an American or other nationality. They blew up buses, markets, universities, synagogues, beaches, nightclubs. More than 100 for those who weren't here during the second intifada. More than 100 suicide bombing attack. So we were in the middle of this mess. On one hand, my father was very, very busy to inflict more pain and more destruction on Israel and on the Jewish people. From my perspective, every time we stopped suicide bombing attack, I knew that we saved human lives. And that was my moral compass. I didn't need to justify my work. And the fact that I'm talking about it right now, not to cricket myself of any, I just want you to that I didn't start yesterday, and my journey did not start after October 7th. 15 years of fighting against Hamas ideology and against Hamas operation. Knowing that if Hamas succeeded in destroying Israel, they will come after the Arabs. They will come after other Muslim sects. They will come after the West. Because jihad has no limit. Even though Hamas has the Palestinian cause as a device. This is how they guarantee the continuation by the name of nationalism. But at their essence, it's a religious war. From one side. When I say religious war, I don't mean religious war between the Jews and the Muslims. Or at least between Israel and jihadists. It's only one way. And that's an Islamic jihadist assault on the Jewish people for being Jewish. Since childhood, this is my condition. And of course, some people may argue and say, okay, you belong to an extreme Muslim family. This is not the rest of the Muslim world. But I can argue back that it's found in the Holy Scriptures
of Islam in the Quran itself. The only religion, unfortunately, that points out other religions by the name and incite violence against people. More than 42 times Israel is mentioned in the Quran. You will not find in the Bible even one time mentioning the Muslims or any other religious scripture. I have studied Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity, Islam, and the divisions and subdivisions within this, the major religions. In fact, I practiced those religions. I've been to synagogues, I've been to temples, I've been to mosques, I've been to churches. I met with the people, I lived with the people, I built bridges. And on that authority today I speak. Many can find it funny to just accuse and discredit, say this is just a small minority in the world. And I say no, the problem is much bigger than this. Unfortunately, the denial continues. And this is part of my frustration and why I lost my patience after October 7th. Because I have warned that Hamas is going to drag the entire region into a bloodbath. And they succeeded. And today, instead of learning the lesson, instead of getting united to fight this disease, that is actually, it's not only anti-Israel, it's anti-civilization. If I go to India, we have an Islamic problem. And if the Indian president talk about Islam, they label him as Islamophobic. If I go to Europe, we have an Islamic problem. Most of the religious radical terrorism is coming mostly by the name of Islam and by the name of Allah. On October 7, Hamas did not kill innocent people and kidnap innocent people by the name of nationalism or by the name of Palestine. They killed people by the name of Allah. Allah does not like anyone who is not obedient to him. And of course, many can say, okay, this is, you can find violence in the Bible, you can find violence in every religion. But I say the unique situation in Islam, that it's legislation, it's a way of worship, it's a way of obedience. Conquering the world is a mission. And even though there are moderate Muslims and peaceful Muslims, but to dominate earth, which belongs to Allah, is an Islamic mission. And all it took, 19 terrorists on 9/11, to turn the globe into chaos. And up to this point, every time I go to the airport, I know that I can credit it to Muslim terrorists. And in fact, if I want to go even prior to that, thanks to the Palestinians, who hijacked commercial airlines, blow them up on the runways, kidnapped people. And since then, we had to take extreme security measures. We had to force billions of people around the globe to go through crazy security measures. Why? Because we have a small minority of maniacs that now everybody is living the consequences of their violence. And if you just look back, what happened after 9/11 and how the world changed, how much darkness and mistrust came to the world, and the world does not want to call them out and say, we don't coexist with violence. If you don't have the capacity to separate between Islam and mosque or between politics and religion, mosque and state, then we have a problem. In Europe, we separate between church and state. Most democracies follow this lead. So why don't we encourage the Muslims? I'm not saying that we need to fight with them, but we can at least help them evolve, integrate, follow the lead of humanity. And when I speak about this problem, I was born a Muslim. I went to a Sharia school. My father is Muslim Brotherhood, not only Hamas, the biggest Islamic movement in the world with more than 100 million active members. And all of them believe in violence. And I know their danger. This is why I speak against them. So what was the reaction of the world? I got canceled, I got labeled, I got framed, and they still attack my mission. What are we waiting for? More disasters to know that we are dealing with 7th century mentality? This is the 21st century. Religion should not have an absolute grip and decide the fate of humanity. What we witnessed on October 7th, that was not an assault against Israel. Hamas does not believe in nationalism to begin with. They don't believe in Palestine or the name of Palestine. This is what my father taught me since childhood. He said, we don't believe in political borders. But they use Palestine as a device. Why? Because it's more appealing than Islam. When ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Salafi jihadists, and other terrorist groups declared war on civilization, it was much easier for us to counter them, to deconstruct their operation. It was much easier. But we have been fighting against the Muslim Brotherhood for almost a century, and we cannot defeat them because they have totally different strategy. They built infrastructure, they built schools, they take on national causes like Palestine, like Afghanistan, like Kashmir. And the world is fooled. They say, yes, this is a legitimate resistance. All of a sudden, October 7 Berbers became legitimate and justified. In Gaza, there is only one crime. And the crime in Gaza is the use of human shields by their governing authority. And that's the responsibility of Hamas. On October 7, hundreds of war crimes had been committed. Each case is a war crime. And it's not measured by the hit count. And of course, I can go on and on of how to discern the difference between the fight of a democracy that has been dragged into the most brutal and most complicated war of our time. There is no army in the world that is prepared for such scenario where terrorists hijack one of the most populated areas on earth and use their own children as human shields for global sympathy. The problem with the rest of the world don't understand martyrdom, shahada. Their concern is not in this life, it's in the other life. And unfortunately, what's supposed to be moderate Muslims are not taking stand to fight against extremism. And this is very suspicious to me, because it was also very strange that they celebrated on October 8th, they triumphed. They thought it was a victory. The biggest blow against Israel, against civilization, what they consider the enemy of Islam. They believe that the entire world, or the non-Muslims around the clock, conspiring against Islam. And this is not the truth, as someone who has traveled the world. In fact, everybody is in denial, and they don't want to admit that the Muslims are a threat, while the Muslims believe that everybody is against them. Totally inverted reality. So, October 7 is not the worst that could happen to humanity. They used lethal force on October 7. What's more dangerous if they grow in number and all of a sudden they infiltrate our governments? In Europe, when they become right now 20%, in France is a nuclear power. Sooner or later, we might have a Muslim president. And then the coup is going to be Muslim against Muslim. Same thing with the Palestinian Authority. The entire world bet their money, their effort on the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas took over Gaza in less than 24 hours. And today, the world wants to gamble again and give it to an aging system that's proving corrupt, without moral compass. And who guarantees that tomorrow is going to be another group? Maybe not Hamas, could be any other name. So, October 7 is only a test. The hostages is our test, and we betray them. And the world start comparing Jewish blood to the Muslim blood. Jews around the world, it's about 15 million people, a small minority. Muslims are 2 billion people. And when I see the moral decay within the Muslim population, when they see the slaughter of toddlers, the kidnapping of Holocaust survivors, of innocent civilians, that actually mostly they were pro-Palestine, they were pro-existence, pro-two-state solution. And they are the ones who paid the price. And we have betrayed. So, if we let this small minority, the Jewish people, with a great contribution, not because my friend is sitting here, and not because this is Israel, which sounds, could sound like propaganda. I am afraid if we betray the Jewish people for after all the contribution to life, unconditional, sharing all the innovation, science, literature, morality, ethics, values with the rest of the world, then we punish them for that, for being successful, for the sake of the Muslim majority. This means that we are in deep trouble. I promise you that. Islam is not good news. And the same way humanity fought against Christianity. They did not say in the dark ages of Europe, when the priests used to burn scientists to death, they did not say radical Christianity versus moderate Christianity. They said we don't want Christianity controlling our lives, period. And we are in the same place right now. And I myself, by the way, in Christ's consciousness. So I have the authority to even criticize Christianity, criticize religion. But when it comes to Islam, this is a different story, and we are living now the dark ages. If we allow them to spread, to get legitimacy, to justify their actions, tomorrow there's going to be another cause. And by the way, look, you bring their holy scripture, some crazy guy would burn it, set it on fire, and the entire Muslim world would boycott governments and demonstrate the streets and project hatred against the world. And we tell them this is not the fault of governments and societies. It was the fault of an ignorant person. Why are you punishing everybody for that thing? It's very hard to rationalize with. The more we show them weakness, and in fact, in this case, the more we show tolerance, is going to be perceived as weakness, and it will ignite their bloodlust. This is my concern. When people live subconsciously at the level of even animal was on a higher level, then let them smell a little bit of blood and see their reaction. We don't want this to be repeated anywhere, in any country, to any nation. Humanity depends on each other. We live in a dependent existence. We are all the same. And by the way, including the Hamas terrorists, they still belong to the human family. I'm not here to incite against certain group. But when we have those who live in separation and they forgot that we are all one family under the sun, and we are all children of life, children of earth, then we must take extreme measures, even if it means eliminating some humans. Hamas, after what they did, not only on October 7th, what they've been doing for the past 36 years, they don't have equal rights to decent citizens who were kidnapped from their households. When they woke up that morning, along with their children, nobody has that right. And those who think that they have the authority to do whatever they want, we must stand united against their aggression. I'm not here to incite against Muslims, against Islam. I'm just pointing out what I have been through. And I hope that no one, whether if it's in the Far East or in the West, that has to endure what I have to witness, what I have to go through. I know I may not answer your question, but these words really needed to come out. Because I know many people here representing many nations, and I want them to understand that I've been to many of those countries. I have friends everywhere. And I cannot fathom that these people will at some point have to live the darkness of barbarism. I want it to stop now. I want humanity to get united behind Israel in this fight, because if we prove them wrong and we tell them that jihad is a dead end, whether you practice jihad against Jews, against Buddhists, against Hindus, against Christians, it doesn't matter. We are all united and we all believe in diversity. Muslims have the right to exist. We don't have a problem with that if they want to be devoted to their God, but don't make it into a political movement. Don't intimidate the rest of the world. This is not acceptable, because the universal design depends on diversity. Thank you for listening, and please forgive me for misjudging.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is Dejobnik signing off.